Okuku no gboka, headdress fit for queens and princesses. Okuku is a collective name for a particular female hairstyle in Benin culture. Okuku entails the packing of the hair into a bun or beehive shape, which, depending on the circumstances, is sometimes decorated with beads and brass blades to give it an aesthetic beauty that has made it unique in African fashion culture. The original Okuku is lost in history, giving it semi-antiquity in Benin culture. The earliest Okuku would have been the plain, undecorated type worn by women undertaking the burial of either their parents to distinguish them from other female mourners. Though there are conflicting stories of the origin of the decorated Okuku, oral traditions collected from different areas of Benin agree on many aspects. They hold that it is connected to the military campaign of Oba Ewaye the Great, who reigned in Benin Kingdom in 1440 AD to 1473 AD. Oba Ewaye was a very powerful warrior who fought against and captured over 201 towns and villages in Ekiti, Ikare, Kukuruku, Eka, and Igbo country on the western side of the river Niger. The traditions holds that during one of his military campaigns, he met a very wealthy woman named Akobe. Akobe's hair was elegantly fashioned and very strange, which she braided. She braided it decoratively in the shape of a wreath on top of her head, according to Idia. She was so rich that Ewaye was quoted as saying, "None has ever been as rich as she was, and none will ever be." Despite this wealth, Akobe lost nothing, and none was ever able to steal from her. Thrilled by this, Ewaye began to try to discover her secrets. After searching in vain, he entered romantic relations with her, and one day during their romance, she lost control and losing her hair. Ewaye was astonished to discover that all her wealth was mystically encoded in an isorwe, that is a piece of kaolin chalk, hidden inside her hair. Despite this, Ewaye was still very able to collect her riches. He killed her, cut off her head, and brought it to Benin. He instructed the women in the kingdom to make similar hairstyle and differentiated those of the queens and princesses in the palace with a special kind that has an elongated, high-folded, pointy peak, now known as the Ukpokoko style. Okuku as a status symbol. The beauty of Okuku was enhanced with the introduction of the colorful coral beads and an increasing abundance of brass for making the blades and beads that went into their decoration. Given the cost of decorative items such as cowries, coral beads, and brass blades and beads, only rich women would have been able to afford these items for their okuku. As a result, the decorated okuku was more common among the elite women in Benin. The radiance and beauty of this new okuku hairstyle attracted the praise appellation Okuku n'Ogboka, with Ogboka being the adulation of his fineness and grandeur. The okuku hairstyle can be regarded as a work of art according to Zingswell definition of work of art in the context of their aesthetic properties. Like other African arts, the okuku hairstyle is very symbolic in Benin culture. Over time, different styles of okuku hairstyle has emerged. Ukpohoho, Ogbuma, Aha, Isaba, and Uleko are the 5 types of okuku in pristine Benin society. Of these 5, the Ukpohoho is the most uncommon because it was exclusive to Idia, the first queen mother who lived in the 16th century. The Ukpohoho means chicken beak, as depicted in some Benin artwork, has an elongated high forward pointing peak. According to Osaigbovo, describes the Ukpohoho style as a projected top that looks like the beak of a cock. According to her, it comprises a bunch of beads called Ititiako on all sides and a bronze metal object that looks like the blade of an elephant grass called Igoloye. The Igoloye glitters and jingles as the head moves about and is characterized by a curved horn-like formation that tapers upwards. The Ukpohoho of Iyoba is rich in assorted beads, being more like a beaded crown, according to a European visitor. The number of brass heads and coral woven into their hair is infinite. These materials were held together by their pins known as a kpokpodo. Queens and princesses in the palace wore the okuku regularly, whereas it was worn only on special occasions by other women in the kingdom. They made up their hair in an elegant fashion and plait it in the shape of a wreath on the top of their heads. Okuku hairstyle are very elaborate and stonily beauty, appearing in different form and style. Beads of brass and coral and a long metal scarf scratcher define these knots. The regalia comprise of the headwear, which is usually in the shape of a crown. The hairstyle is usually a high bun called a tokuku, typically held in place with a black gel and a hairnet if required. Red or orange coral beads are sewn into the styled hair or extensions in the form of the okuku crown. Functions and uses of Okuku in Benin society. Some oral informants who were interviewed agreed on the meanings of different types of Okuku hairstyle. Some state that Okuku is just beautification and sends no message about the wearer. Other traditions maintain that many Okuku hairstyles are designed to pass a message about those who wear them. According to Umwemo, who explains that Okuku serve as a medium of communication among the people of Benin. Thus, different forms are used to communicate different messages about the person wearing it. Umwemo claims are supported by some other sources. Some undecorated Okuku were also worn during funerals to distinguish daughters of the deceased. When a princess attains the age of puberty, she becomes entitled to a special form of Okuku hairstyle, which is primarily decorative and a symbol of maturity. Its purpose is an indirect but eloquent way of announcing the presence of a possible wife for the noblemen of the courts. Princess Olowu further corroborates that there are patterns of Okuku that can tell the stage of pregnancy among princesses in the kingdom. In addition, there are other simple forms of Okuku among the general populace, one to indicate that one is of marriageable age. As already indicated, the Okuku also depicted the status of the women wearing them. According to Jacob Egareva, the Iloi queens or Oba's wives do not need to wear any head ties, but they wear their head dressed high on their heads, which gives the appearance of a turban or a bishop mitre covered with hair. This style of headdress is called Ukpo, according to Egareva. It was not only the king's wives that dressed their hair with Okuku, as the wives of the chiefs wore Okuku of different types. This is attested to by Burton. Okuku were also designed in the kingdom to indicate the office held by the person wearing them. Studies of artworks of pre-colonial Benin has clearly depicted this use of Okuku. One of the sculptors of the Iyoba centerpiece, for instance, consists of her images with hairstyle, regalia, and ornamental body accoutrements, which are the privileges of her title, office, and political role as the recipient of the 5th position among the Egaibo Noe. The sculpted Queen Mother's head in Benin show two groups of Ukpohoho royal hairstyle. One group resembles the early type of commemorative heads for kings. Those have a tight-fitted head collar under the chin, while the other group of queens, Ukpohoho, is closer in style to later Oba's head, as they also have cylindrical beads collar and a semicircular opening at the top to enable them to support an ivory tusk. According to Ebegbe, says that Okuku can also be personalized to tell the stories of those who wear them. Queen Idia's Okuku, for example, is furnished with elements that convey her personal identity, making it very easy to identify her even after centuries. Though her hairstyle is a vision of the Ukpokoko style of Okuku with royal associations, which is unique variety of the Okuku hairstyle worn by the wives of the Benin kings. Her portrait head is individualized with the distinctive high, forwarding pointy peaked, elongated coiffure, of which she had an exclusive use in the kingdom of Benin. In addition, Sweet Ufume Ebegbe observed that the beaded conical crown, Ediyoba, which sheaths the hairstyle, was also exclusive to her and also distinguishes the head as representing Queen Idia. She added that other Benin queens and high-ranking Benin women wear utterly different types of okuku, and no other queen to date has been permitted to use Queen Idia's type of hairstyle. These features also make it easily recognizable as portraits of Queen Idia. Despite the idealized and genetic features, what is important about Queen Idia Okuku hairstyle is that it was created for a specific person and intended to immortalize Queen Idia's memory in the society. Okuku in temporary times. The Okuku hairstyle of today are quite different from those of the pre-colonial period. Unlike the Okuku of nowadays, which are easily done and seldom worn. According to Captain J.F. Landorf, observed in the 18th century that the women are all very coquettish. They take 6 months to do their hair, and the coiffure lasts 3 years. Also, unlike today, decorated okuku then were not used for funeral or mourning of any kind, because together with the beads they symbolized bliss and celebration, except for the queens and princesses in the palace, who always had Ukpokoko style. Today, there are special types of okuku for burial ceremony, some of which are decorated with beads to show the affluence of the family and identify daughters of the deceased during burial rites. Like other feminine fashion, okuku hairstyles change so frequently that it can be difficult to fully classify their types and forms after several centuries. Generally, a people's way of dressing changes frequently and is sometimes a symbol of their culture and identity. A people can become deeply and powerfully attached to their way of dressing, which they guide. This implies that fundamental changes in the content and pattern of dressing in a human community are often indications that significant alteration has occurred in salient domains of their socio-cultural existence, and the nature of emerging dress modes itself is equally a reflection of the kind of alterations that have taken place. This piece was taken from the Benin monarchy, an anthropology of Benin history.